So welcome back, Caribbean Online Academy learners. So in today's session, we're going to be completing excretion and osmoregulation. By now, we should have some basic understanding about excretion. We do understand that excretion is a removal of metabolic waste from the body, and it's very important that the body remove these wastes, otherwise they can be harmful or poison our body cells, right? So we do understand that we have different excretor products, we have excretor organs. The main excretor organ in the body is, of course, the urinary system, which we would have talked about in details. So the main job of the urinary system is to filter the blood, and that would be the kidney filtering the blood. The kidney is made up of tiny tubules, which we call nephrons. So nephrons, they are the functional unit of the kidney, and it's actually the nephron that is filtering the blood. As the nephron filters the blood, it makes urine. We'd have talked about the different stages in urine formation, so make sure you look back at that. Now, while the kidney is filtering the blood, I would say it is using one stone to kill two birds, really. So while it is filtering the blood, it is also regulating how much water we have in our blood. So you will notice on days where you consume a lot of water, right? You drink a lot of water, you probably had watermelon and so on, then you will find that your urinary output will be greater, so you'll be urinating more. On days where maybe you had banana chips, you didn't get to drink any water, you will be urinating less. So smaller volume of concentrated urine. That is because the kidney is doing its job. So while it is making the urine, it is also regulating how much water we have in our blood. And yes, class, this is what we're calling osmoregulation. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So osmoregulation, you should be able to define it. It's the regulation of the concentration of blood plasma and body fluid. It is essential to prevent unnecessary movements of water in and out of cells. So what we need to understand why this maintenance is so important as osmoregulation, because if your body fluids, if they become too diluted, then guess what happened? The cells, they will gain water by osmosis, causing them to swell. They may eventually burst, right? If your body fluids become too concentrated, the opposite happen. So water will actually leave your cells, causing them to shrink, and guess what? They will become dehydrated. So osmoregulation, it is an example of what we call a homeostasis process. We would have met this concept, this term, when we just started out the subject. So homeostasis is the maintenance of a constant internal environment. So homeostasis is important to make sure that the conditions surrounding our cells, they remain relatively constant. So osmoregulation is just one example of homeostasis. We're going to be looking at homeostasis as a topic later. Now, organisms, they can gain water, they lose water. We gain water from the food that we eat, the drink that we consume. We also make water in respiration. So this is a metabolic water. So remember, class, in respiration, we're making energy, but water and carbon dioxide, these were two waste products. Osmosis too, this is for plant roots and freshwater animals. They produce water via osmosis, or they gain water from osmosis, that is, right? So that is, they gain water from osmosis. We lose water when we urinate. We also lose water from the evaporation of our sweat, right? From our skin. Marine fish, they lose water via osmosis. Remember, class, osmosis is where water moves from a region where you have more water molecules to a region where you have less water. So with the fish, they will lose water. That's marine sea fish. They will tend to lose water by osmosis because their internal environment has a higher concentration of water than their surrounding, which is the seawater, because the seawater would have been concentrated with salt. So they lose water by osmosis. Meanwhile, freshwater fish, they tend to gain water via osmosis. Okay, now what we want to focus on is we want to understand exactly how is the kidney carrying out osmoregulation, right? We know that the kidney is regulating how much water we have in our blood. We see it because when we drink a lot of water, our urinary output is more. When we do not get to consume water, urine is less. So how is the kidney doing this job? So the kidney, it regulates the concentration of the body fluid by controlling the amount of water and salt that is reabsorbed into the plasma, or you would say back into the blood during selective reabsorption. Remember, when the kidney was making urine, it is made in 3 stages, right? Stage 1 was pressure filtration. Stage 2 is selective reabsorption. So what is selective reabsorption? This was where useful substances go back into the blood. So while the kidney is making urine, for example, if your body fluid is too concentrated, then guess what? The kidney will ensure that most of the water is reabsorbed back into the blood, right? So let's take a look at what we mean exactly by this. Now let's say the blood passing through the hypothalamus of the brain is too concentrated. What could possibly cause your blood to become too concentrated? Maybe you were sweating a lot during physical activities, or you didn't have enough to drink. So what will happen? The first thing here, class, is that the pituitary gland, that's a gland, it will secrete this hormone here. It's called ADH. That's antidiuretic hormone into the blood. Now remember, hormones, they are messengers. So this hormone is going to take a message to the kidney, right? It will stimulate the kidney to reabsorb most of the water from the filtrate. Let's say it is just talking to the kidney. So, you'll be saying, kidney, the cells are thirsty. The cells need water. So when you're making urine, it don't make no sense you make most of the water come out as urine. So please, may I beg your kidney, allow most of the water to go back into the body, back into the blood, right? So that's ADH doing its job. So the job of ADH is to do what? Stimulate the kidney to reabsorb most of the water from the filtrate back into the blood. So on that note now, class, because most of the water has gone back into the body, you will produce small amount of concentrated urine, right? So that is how the kidney regulate your blood concentration. So let's look back at that one more time. If the blood passing through the hypothalamus of the brain, that's the brain is like the detector. If it's too concentrated, that means it has too little water, then it will ask the pituitary gland to make the hormone ADH. ADH will in turn stimulate the kidney to reabsorb most of the water back into the blood. So you will therefore produce small amount of concentrated urine. Now, what happened if it is the other way around? If the blood passing through the hypothalamus is too dilute, you may have drink a lot, so little or no ADH is released. It depends on how diluted it is. So maybe there is little ADH, or if it is way diluted, no ADH at all. So therefore, what will happen? The kidneys now will know that they are to reabsorb very little water. So how the kidney will interpret this message? wow, the cells are drowning. There's too much water in the blood. So you know what? I'm going to make most of the water go out as urine. So that's the kidney doing its job. So you will be therefore producing large amounts of dilute urine. So there you go. This is the end of our lesson. Be sure to follow us on Instagram. So Julian Wright, Caribbean Online Academy, and make sure that you're a part of our biology community where we share stuff, we share past paper solutions and all of that. Happy to hear from you and looking forward to seeing you in our next session. Next session, we're going to be talking about homeostasis. So you want to do some reading on that? That would be great. That's homeostasis. We touched a little bit on it just now. So we're going to be looking at other examples of homeostasis process. All right, be sure if you want to watch this video 3, 4, 5 times, however many times it takes for you to get it, you can replay it. So happy learning.